The Hollywood Times is proud to be a media partner of the Hollywood Queer Film Festival, where we celebrate bold voices and fresh perspectives in queer storytelling. Among this year's standout shorts is The Fangs I'm After, a captivating animated lesbian romance that reimagines the eternal dance between predator and prey. We spoke with filmmaker Rebecca, director and lead animator, about her inspirations, creative process, and what this story means to her. Good morning, Valerie Milano here, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and with Aspiring Magazine. And I'm so glad to have our guest here this morning, and I'm going to have her introduce herself. Thank you so much.
Hi there, my name is Rebecca Chivers. I am the director and lead animator for The Fangs I'm After. The Fangs I'm After was my senior capstone film for Chapman University, and I'm currently submitting it to a bunch of film festivals and doing the festival circuit. So I'm really excited to be here and talk about it.
Yes, fantastic. So, can you share how the idea for the Fangs I'm After first came to you? And was it rooted more in your love of animation, queer storytelling, or vampire mythology?
Fangs I'm After was had my senior capstone film like in the back of my head for a while, and I'm like, I really need to come up with something for it. And the characters I had for it are actually characters I had for a long time. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do anything with these characters for my senior capstone film because I have this story already. I love these characters a lot, and I don't want to burn myself out on them. And one day I was just listening to some music. I was listening to Lady Gaga, Americano by Lady Gaga, actually. And I just had this whole idea in my head that was like, what if I took these characters I already have and added this like vaguely fantasy Western flair to it? And I just couldn't let go of the idea. And so I definitely say it's a combination of it was a necessity for me to tell a queer story for my senior capstone film because there's just so few opportunities to tell those stories, especially once you're in the industry. Like, it's really hard to fight and get these stories told. And we see it all the time with like characters getting cut from these stories and just the kind of shows that get picked up and the things that change from the pilot to the actual show. But I'm like, while I'm in school and while I'm this sole director and getting this opportunity to have a film like funded by a school and have it happen in this environment where the film has to get done, I'm going to tell a queer story. It's going to get made. And I've always loved vampires, so that was a necessity for me as well. I'm like, if I'm going to be working on this film for over a year, it needs to be something I enjoy. I definitely say like it being a queer story and it being a vampire story was a must for me. And then it being an animated story is just because that's my art form. That's what I do. That almost wasn't a question for me. It's just I'm an animator before I'm a director, before I'm a storyteller. So that was not even something that crossed my mind for it to be in any other form.
Yeah, and it's good timing with Halloween coming up. So,
Yeah, I did notice that. It's all the festivals it's getting into are like September, October time. It got into a horror festival in Chicago, which I'm going to next weekend, which I wasn't expecting. I was like, I don't know if this counts as a horror film, but the one of the people who was helping me submit to festivals, he was like, "No, submit it. Like it's got vampires in it. It will count." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm just not sure it will get in." And then lo and behold, it gets in, and it's cool.
good for you. Yeah, so this short was your Chapman Senior thesis project.
Yeah.
How did working on it as both a student assignment and a deeply personal story shape the way you approached it?
It's interesting because there's definitely some people who have the approach to their senior film that this is just an assignment, like I'm going to cut some corners and stuff like that. And almost a little bit to a fault, that was not me. And that was not a lot of people. In my graduating year, actually, we had a fantastic round of students. I was constantly inspired by my classmates around me because I was working alongside geniuses. But it definitely, I would go and I'd be like, I need to get this film done and I've animated this, but I kind of want to redo it. And it was just, I sunk so much time into it. And doing it as a student film, the thing that I think was really important about that for me is it helped curb my perfectionism because the project had to get done or I wouldn't graduate. And now that's an exaggeration. If it didn't get done, I could have joined someone else's project, something like that. But I wasn't doing that. Like, I'm like, this project is graduating alongside me, like, whether I like it or not. And it was tricky because sometimes I would be like, I had a 10 a.m. class twice a week my last semester, and I would be in the animation lab and it would be like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. And I'm like, I'm still going. Like I'm in a flow. I don't want to stop. And I've got a 10 a.m. in 5 hours that I'm probably not going to attend today. So yeah, there's definitely it put like a time crunch on it that I think was necessary for the project to get done. And it helped me prioritize and be like, okay, this needs to get done. And it helped me learn that this is going to sound egotistical, but like in situations where I did my good enough, it was good enough. And it was like, oh, I didn't need to be agonizing over all of this because I just did what I could in the time and it still came out to a product that I'm proud of.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't get a lot of sleep as a
No,
director, the lead animator. Those were big challenges of bringing this story to life. Yeah. So, were there particular films, books, or artworks that inspired the aesthetic and or the tone of your short?
it's interesting because I get asked this question a lot. We had the pitch day at the beginning of the fall semester to get like volunteers to help on our film. And I remember encountering this problem where I'm like, God, there's not a lot. Like, I can't really trace my inspiration. And I think the unfortunate reality of that is that there isn't a lot of media like this. So there wasn't, I was pulling from like really random sources of inspiration. There's if I could pull a bunch of things, I have to explain why because it's like a crazy combination. Music in general was is a big inspiration for me. So I have a whole playlist that I would listen to while I worked on it. Like I said, Americano by Lady Gaga definitely inspired like something like just the original vision in my head. There's a TV show, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which really inspired a lot of my like character acting and like intimacy between characters. And so you that's an example where it's like if I just told you that, you'd be like, what the heck? Because that show is so different than what I'm showing you, but it's just small things that I'm pulling from. The animated movie The Bad Guys inspired a lot of the character acting and the way that the expressions are done. And then what else? I would say She-Ra, the She-Ra reboot that came out on Netflix was a pretty big inspiration in terms of not necessarily where I started the project from, but just a show that I watched when I was in high school that was queer and had a very messy lesbian queer relationship that was very much a background inspiration for me. Like I didn't realize how inspired I was from it. And then every now and then I'd look at scenes of that show and I'm like, oh yeah, like that probably is where that came from. And I just it's been brewing in my head for 5 years. So I lost sight of the fact that was the inspiration. So it's a messy pull from all sorts of things because there's just not much like this out there that isn't made by other independent indie people, unfortunately.
So, Rebecca, what's next for you? Do you see yourself continuing in queer animation, or do you want to explore other genres and forms?
I would love to continue to work in like queer animated projects. That would be an absolute dream for me. At the moment, I'm just doing freelance work for clients, but I would love if there was anybody that was like pitching a show or something like that and was like, this is the show I'm working on. It's something like The Owl House, like these shows that get pitched and have these very queer teams and queer creators, even if by the time they get to studios, the studios themselves aren't necessarily, yay, we love queer animation. If you have that team that's like fighting for that representation, you get it in there, even if it's a bit disjointed. And I would love to be a part of something like that. I'm not necessarily like the most passionate about being a director, about being a showrunner. I loved telling my own story for this project, but I also just really love being a part of a team and like having somebody else's story that I can get really attached to and learn to love those characters as if they're my own. And so that would be like my next really big goal is I would love to for somebody else to let me in on their version of this film and just be a part of that and help bring a character to life. And ideally it would be a queer character, but that's just me.
Yes, I loved her tooth. in your
Yeah.
animation.
My professor really liked that. He's got such a fun character design trait that she's always got one tooth out. And I get comments like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, because that's just something I've always drawn on her design is the one tooth out, and I've
Yeah.
never consciously made that decision. It just happened because I've had some variation of these characters for years, and so it's just evolved and become a shorthand for the character design. And it's oh, I didn't, and that's something a couple people point out. I was like, oh, I love that the tooth's always sticking out, and I'm like, that wasn't even a conscious decision, so I'm not going to pretend it was. But thank you.
Where are you from originally?
My family is from England, is where you're hearing the accent. I grew up in Chicago my whole life, though.
Oh,
So lived in Chicago until I moved to California for college.
yeah. All right. So, how can our readers and our viewers find out more about you and your film? Social media or your website? What?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up stuff so I can make sure I'm like giving the information exactly correctly. The film does have an Instagram account. It is going to be when I have one of those screen blockers that is, do you want to be on Instagram right now? And it's yes, I do. I do not know if this camera will focus enough. I
It
don't
does
know.
not.
Instagram account is going to be Fangs period I'm period after underscore film. I can send that to you as well. Yeah, that's the main thing to follow the film. If you look it up as well, just the Fangs I'm After, luckily it's a pretty unique title. It actually comes up without searching my name, which I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I have a website as well. It's going to be my full name, so Rebecca Chivers at .weebly.com. That's just going to have like my portfolio and stuff on it, but I'll keep like the film and the trailer updated as well. And eventually, once the festival run is done, it's going to be uploaded to YouTube, and then it's going to have a lot more of a public presence. But at the moment, it's really just that Instagram account and like posting about when it's going on film festivals and stuff like that. So I can send that to you because that's going to be
Yay.
its main basis over there.
It was sure nice meeting you virtually. Maybe our paths will cross out here in Los Angeles
Yeah,
in
perhaps.
person. Thank you for taking the time. We're the Hollywood Times today and aspiringmagazine.com. And our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official. And keep up the great work, Rebecca. Very nice
All
to
right.
meet you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.